Frank, yes, maybe areas for concern at the end, but overall, how pleased were you with your team's performance?
Absolutely delighted, and I just said to the player, I will be the first to criticise sloppy endings and sloppy goals, but I can't today because I don't want to take away from what the performance was, and I thought it was fantastic. A really tough place to come. We knew all the threats, how difficult they make it for you, and some of the play, some of the football. I mean, obviously we'll talk about Christian, I'm guessing, but Kovacic and Jorginho midfield. I'm sure you'd love that, James, a midfield player, wouldn't you? I mean, the confidence on the ball and receiving the ball with pressure coming and the way they played. So I'm delighted with 95%, and that's enough for me tonight. I'm really pleased.
Especially after the Ajax game, Frank, it was a completely different proposition today. And I thought you handled it well. I had a couple of opportunities for Burnley early in the game, but I thought the way you moved the ball and obviously making a change today with Christian really gave you a bit of life as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to stop Burnley doing what they do well. It's hard to stop balls coming in your box, and then they get set pieces. They play for it. They play for set pieces in your half, and they stick it in, and they're bigger than us. And I was quite pleased with how we tried to deal with that. But yeah, I just felt with Christian coming in, he was so bright, and we played Mason higher up behind in the sort of number 10 behind their midfield, because I felt those were areas that we could get the ball in and get them turned. And when we get out one of those two, or Willian turned and running at people, then we can cause problems.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, obviously last 2 games, 2 clean sheets on the spin, and before then there was a little bit of focus about conceding from set pieces. The goals end up being in play, but you changed the way you set the team up, so it was sort of like half and half with the zonal and the marking as well. So what was the thinking behind that?
Yeah, well, we changed a couple of weeks ago. I basically got fed up conceding, so we thought we've got to change something here. But so we went and changed, I think, pre-Southampton, and I just felt to give some players responsibility. It's hard. There's so many arguments for both sides of this one. I think zonal, you can end up a bit passive. Man-to-man in the modern day, you can get blocked and people can get away from you. So we felt a bit of a mixture, gives a bit more responsibility back to the markers, and also keeps a few of our bigger players in zones. And we've been better since. We lost a few first contacts today, but I think against Burnley, sometimes you've got to accept that. Yeah, accept that and try and make sure you get the seconds.
And that involved Kurt Zouma as well. You sort of put him more in the middle of the 6-yard box and said, just be free. Like Drogba used to do it a bit to a certain extent when you played alongside him.
Yeah. I think Kurt's so dominant, size-wise, he can jump and powerful, and he an area where a lot of balls come into, and teams do hone in on that. So I think Kurt being in there has a huge responsibility to head anything that's around him.
Frank, you predicted it. We are going to talk about Christian Pulisic. I mean, in terms of the goals that he scored, you'd be delighted for him to get off the mark. In terms of his overall performance, did the first one sort of sum it up a bit, because he was so determined that he was going to make the best of that situation?
Yeah, he did, and it was so quick to get on it for the chance. It was bright, wasn't it, all first half, getting away from people, as I say, picking the ball up in those areas. And when he actually gets his goal here, I was a bit worried. I thought, go for goal from the angle where I was, and it was like he waited for him, but that makes it even better. A little step over. And a great finish, and again, he can go by people. Has a great turn of pace, great balance with him when he runs with the ball. Such a joy to watch on those front, and then you get the end product today, which is brilliant for him.
How difficult has the conversation been with him, Frank? Because he signed £57 million in the summer, big expectancy of him coming to the club, and he hasn't perhaps had the start that he'd have liked, and he'd not been in the team, and Mason Mount's obviously done so well. Has he been knocking on your door, or have you just felt his performances would get him in the team?
We've had a couple of conversations, but I get asked it a lot, Jane, because of the size of the deal and the fact that he's such a big star back home, which is rightly so. But I think where I saw it coming from was that when we signed him with a big price tag, he went and played for his country in tournament football in the summer, and then when I got the job, he had one week off, and he said to me, I want to come back after a week. I said, you want 2 or whatever, just to get, and he wanted a week, but I have to take that into consideration with him, like leg wise and freshness wise. So he played some games early in the season. Callum's come back, William's been playing fantastic at times, so I will have rotation issues there, but I've just tried to sort of get the best out. I'm not claiming today I put him in and go and get a hat-trick, that's up to him, but at the same time he's going to be a big player for us, a big player for us. He showed a lot of that today, and now let's see him go.
Yeah. Well, it's quite interesting because when you're winning games and it's all going smoothly, you don't have to change the team so much. I think the thing that you've got to manage more than anything is the players that's not playing. Yeah. Your Giroud and people like that, big players. How's that been handling them players.
Yeah.
Well.
Frank, that's tough, and it's a tough part of the job. You work all week, you can only pick 11, and you have great relationships, or you try to. It's not simple. Sometimes I think you have to be honest, and it's actual just selection. But I also respect the Giroud training really well, Batshuayi training really well, supporting the team in the dressing room, and they're all doing that. So it's up to me as well, I suppose, to find that balance. Really, we've got momentum at the minute, so you sort of kind of pick the same team. But Ollie gets his minutes today. Batshuayi comes on in midweek and scores the goal. Impact from all of them, and if we're going to be successful this year, it's going to take all of us, because it's a long season and different competitions. So we will be using the squad.
Frank, it's 4 away wins in a row, and it's the first time Chelsea have won 4 away wins in a row while scoring 3 or more goals on each of those occasions. What do you think it is about the team that's set up to be as free scoring as that on the road?
Well, we're trying to move the ball quickly. We're trying to create chance. I suppose Eden leaving, and Eden was such a huge part of our goal input last year in terms of goals and assists. And then obviously there's a bit of change. The younger players that have come in and been really good in an attacking way. Tammy, Mason, etc. So we try to just move the ball. Maybe be slightly. I think direct's not the right word, but we want to get the ball moving quickly. We want to get it wide. Sometimes we want to cross the ball into the box, and at times we've been able to do that. And we're on a good run of doing it.
Only 4 players today started in the Europa League end of last season, Frank. And the way that the transition's been so quick for you, are you almost amazed how well things have gone?
I don't know, James. I think I didn't want to have too many expectations. I felt the pressure from within the club and outside probably that we should be competitive, and I think that's right because I've got a good squad without a doubt. But yeah, I think when you are changing things, you're tentative, and the couple of the early results, I felt we deserved better. But the fact is, this brutal Premier League that you go to Manchester United and get beaten 4-0 on day one is the result. So I'm delighted with the reaction of the players. There's definitely different messages, I think, when you come in that you give to what the old manager had given, and it's how quickly you can try and get them in there, how quickly the players take them on board, and that's credit to them that they're doing so well.
Yeah. One last question, Frank, before you go. Does this, probably when you were looking to take the club forward maybe next year when you can actually buy players again, has this changed your thinking now because of the young players that have been given an opportunity?
A little bit at the moment, Jamie. I think that's so fluid because, at the start of the season, we all, you can have preconceived ideas. I didn't want to say because even though I watched a lot of Chelsea, obviously, last year, but I didn't until I saw everyone training and what the squad looked like, make any decisions. And they change. Players have got a case to make, and if they make it so strongly, then it obviously changes your thinking. So I'm not getting too far ahead of what may be next summer, where we made it. I want to focus on the here and now. Players are showing that they can produce at the minute. It's a long season, so I do want to temper expectations slightly, and there will come a time when the band's done and a club like Chelsea, you will look to strengthen in certain areas.
Yeah, you don't want to give the owner the message that you don't want any budget.
No. Did that come across wrong? Sorry.
No.
He won't be like his uncle then.